this morning is Tobias Omondi. Now, angry President Ruto demands explanation from CSS and PSS and other parastatal heads for being late yesterday. And President William Ruto on Tuesday lectured his senior government officials for being late to the signing of performance contracts. An angry President Ruto expressed his resentment at senior cabinet members who failed to keep time and arrived late, demanding a written explanation on the same. And he lectured the executive members that he cannot endorse flimsy errors from leaders who have been mandated a huge responsibility to serve Kenyans, and so should they portray integrity in their conduct. Ruto emphasized that he holds matters related to service delivery in earnest, and anybody cloudly handling national affairs will be met with harsh criticism. Performance contracting in government is now in the 20th year of continuous implementation. It is used as a tool for measuring the performance of ministries and agencies in serving Kenyans.
If you cannot keep time with your employer, you have basically dismissed yourself. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So, for those who came late, who are members of the executive, I will be expecting a written explanation, and it should not include matters of traffic.
Watu wale wamechelewa, nikaona rais unaniona ninamjua. Nikaona uso yake nikajua hapa kimeumana. Sababu leo ni siku ya performance contract. Ile siku muhimu sana ya kuja kuweka. Na wewe umefika pale, rais amekaa. Tayari amekaa na ndiye rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Wewe umechelewa ukiwa kuona nani? Who else have you gone to see?
One of the things we need to learn in our performance contract is to beat the traffic.
Many of you, the people I speak to, don't even know what is going on in your ministries or departments. You have very scanty information. The moment I know more than you in your ministry, then you must begin to understand that something is very wrong. How do you run a ministry or a department or a parastatal if you have no information? That is the highest level of incompetence.
Those of us who came with the president from the political space and who are his friends, and we assisted him to become president. Once he gives us a job, that is the termination of that friendship. The friendship with the president will be based on nothing but performance. Why do you have to honor every invitation that you have been given to every country? Your Excellency, at times we have tried to hold cabinet committees, we can't. 5, 6, 7, 8 ministers are out of the country. Some change clothes at the airport from one country to another. That is the truth. Why can't you regulate yourself? If the president was to travel and honor every invitation, he will be out of this country the whole year. You just have to decide what is useful and other things you can leave to our ambassadors out of the country.
So when you hear my deputy saying, find time, travel, but travel and see the people who have hired us, you know, go to different parts of Kenya so that you can get feedback from the public.
We have done so much as an administration, but the information is not out there. Our ministers are quiet. They are called for TV interviews, they don't show up to say what they have done. And then the media have a few days because nobody talks for government. I would rather we spend more time explaining to the people of Kenya what we have done in our respective dockets as opposed to travel. And if we have to travel, let's travel up country to where wananchi are and explain what we are doing.
And I remember I called CS Chelugui. I didn't find him, so I called his PS and I found her and I explained to her, I told her, look, the public is not understanding this Did I call you or not on Sunday? You know, I told you this is what the public is saying. Please do more sensitization on Hustler Fund Phase 2.
And still at that process, Murkomen says corrupt to the core official mentioned by President Ruto was fired in May. And Roads and Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has responded to President William Ruto's directive regarding the sacking of a corrupt official in his docket. The CS, in a statement published on social media on Tuesday evening, affirmed that the official reportedly serving in a senior capacity in his ministry was procedurally laid off in May this year. And President Ruto, during the signing of performance contracts by cabinet secretaries at State House on Tuesday morning, revealed that a certain corrupt official in the Ministry of Roads and Transport was abating mismanagement of public resources and always got away with it through crooked means. The woman, whom he described as corrupt to the core, would often be transferred but would bribe her way back through the courts. And this came even as the president called out members of his cabinet for corruption and making sure that they do not misappropriate Kenyans' resources. Watch.
My office has initiated the development of a public service management bill that seeks to streamline and standardize performance management in the public sector. It will provide a framework for rewarding meritocracy and performance while fawning on ineptitude and discouraging non-performance.
Many people maybe mistakenly think that it is a ritual, and that is why people resort to the old incompetent excuses. Whenever things are not clear, they are not aligned, you are not sure what our commitment is, they are ready every day with an appointment. You will go through with them. You know, we are one team. And my economic team is not interested in running any ministry.
And away from the president, we are ready for talks, Raila tells President Ruto. Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga has said that coalition is also committed to the talks. The meeting was held at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation, where the coalition resolved to support the Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, a led team that will hold talks with Kenya Kwanza. The meeting was attended by 65 members of parliament. That story now to education reforms. Secondary title scrapped as subjects reduced. Mandatory community service introduced. And pupils and students in the competency-based curriculum CBC education chain will now have less workload following the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. Now, the report has slashed the subjects taught in junior secondary from 14 to 9, alongside the dropping of the name secondary from junior and senior levels of education for the basic level of education. Now, the changes also introduce mandatory community service for students transitioning from senior school to universities and TVET institutions, and as they graduate from tertiary institutions. and the implementation of the CBC system of education into the country, and especially the maiden transition into junior secondary, has been fought with a myriad of challenges, from few and ill-prepared teachers to limited learning materials and inadequate infrastructure. Schools have struggled to implement learning at this level. Now, lower primary pupils will have 7 subjects from the current 9. Those in upper primary have their subjects reduced from 12 to 8, while those in junior school will now undertake learning in 9 subjects, down from the current 14. Those in senior schools will be examined on a total of 7 subjects, mathematics and one of either Kiswahili or English being compulsory. Now, the name secondary has been dropped from junior and senior schools, with students transitioning from junior schools to senior schools that will no longer be categorized as present. The schools now known as national, extra county, county and sub-county will now be known as career pathway schools. There will be 3 pathways: science, technology, engineering and mathematics, or STEM, and social sciences and arts and sports science. The report proposes that STEM pathways are offered in 60% of the schools. The Ministry of Education has also been tasked with ensuring that sub-county senior schools are well-resourced and supported to offer the 3 pathways. Before joining an institution of higher learning, senior school students will undertake a 3-month mandatory community service program with a further 9 months. Once they graduate from tertiary institutions, a certificate of compliance issued after this will be required of them before they join the job markets. The working group's recommendations will ease the financial burden by limiting to 2 textbooks per subject, the number of books to be bought, as well as tasking the Kenya National Examination Council (NEC) to facilitate the printing of the assessment material, a cost that has been passed on to parents and teachers. The reforms will also see quality assurance in the education sector moved from the Teacher Service Commission, where it is currently domiciled, to the Ministry of Education, which is also tasked with ensuring the retooling of teachers to be CBC compliance. Now, all graduate teachers will be required to undergo a mandatory 1-year retooling program, while the admission of teachers into the profession will be premised on them completing a mandatory 1-year internship program. Now, those are some of the education reforms. Because it is a mouthful, we'll be looking at ways of how we could break down those recommendations in our subsequent programming. Now, from education to WorldCoin, registration at KICC stopped over security concerns, and thousands of Kenyans who are waiting for their eyeballs to be scanned in the WorldCoin registration exercise have been turned away. Police told the crowd which lined up at KICC Nairobi to leave a venue as the exercise had been stopped. According to the WorldCoin team, police asked them to stop the exercise due to security risks involved. Instead, they were advised to look for a bigger venue such as the Nyayo or Kasarani stadiums, where they can conduct the exercise with minimal security concerns. The WorldCoin team also turned away Kenyans who had lined up for the exercise, saying they will communicate a new venue for the exercise to resume on Wednesday. Police are now driving away a number of Kenyans who are unwilling to leave. The police drove away a number of Kenyans who were unwilling to leave the venue. WorldCoin is a global blockchain project championed by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. The registration exercise involves scanning of one's eyeballs, after which they are given 25 WorldCoin tokens, which translate to Kenyan shillings 7,786 Kenyan shillings. Watch.
Nilipata online kwa apply, wakaniambia niende hadi town center, kukuja hadi KCC, kukuja hadi hapa nikapata watu wanapanga laini.
Chelewa amekuja, lakini simu amesumbua, amekuja amekosa kitu, nasimama tu hapa. Angojea. Sijui anaitwa hii anachukua macho hii sijui, lakini nakuja anatafuta tu ruhusa ya namna nini, natafuta pesa.
Uliambiwa ni pesa ngapi? Uliambiwa ni pesa ngapi utapatiwa?
10,000.
But of course I'm unemployed, so ndio maana niko hapa the whole day. Siku hizi economy ni ngumu na kila mtu anataka pesa, so you live your moment. Sasa mimi kulingana na mimi, hiyo wakati ukiona iko safe, inakuletea pesa ya haraka, you just grab the opportunity.
Just the iris and the iris code, we can be able to create a database of unique humans around the world without their name, their age, their country, no other information, none whatsoever. As rapidly as artificial intelligence is developing, how do we ensure that we can be able to distinguish who is human and who is machine or who is a bot online? And that is what the World ID, which people obtain when verifying with the OB, does.
For me, what they take is not the issue. The issue should be, where is this data stored and what are they going to do it, and if they are going to share it, you as an individual, have you allowed these guys to share that data with third parties?
With those hard questions about data protection and data usage, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're coming back with stories that are making headlines in the dailies. Keep it science.